p.m. If everyone could stand and please face the flag for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Susan, could you please do a roll call?
Sure. Reardon?
Here.
Stasinski? Who's stated that she's coming?
She's going to be tardy.
Yep, she's leaving, but she'll be tardy. Layton?
Here.
Andres?
Here.
Walsh?
Here.
Hepmer?
Here.
LaRose? Here.
Thank you. All right, moving on to the agenda. Could everyone please look for any conflict of interest? All right, if there's no conflict of interest, move on to the approval of the agenda.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes for the meeting of February 20th, 2024. As-
We're on the approval of the agenda.
I do it too.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, you're good.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll support that.
Thank you.
All right, motion by LaRose, support by Andrus to approve the agenda for Monday, March 18th, 2024. All right, moving on to public comment. Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me. All kinds of mess ups tonight.
Just getting warmed up.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. All right, now we can move on to public comment. I do not see any public here this evening, so we'll move on. All right, moving on to number 6, approval of the minutes for February 2024.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of February 20th of 2024 as presented.
Second.
Thank you.
All right, motion by LaRose, second by Hetmer to approve the minutes for February 20th, 2024. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes.
They were very good minutes, by the way.
Yeah,
My name is spelled wrong.
We
I don't do
probably
it.
should have made the
I
correction.
do not care.
We can still fix a typo.
I
think you're gonna have to change your name.
The motion, where was that at?
Totally fine. Corey Layton agreed to be the Parks representative on the advisory
yeah,
committee
the
with
last
Susan
one.
Earls as an alternative as needed.
Yep,
It's
Oh.
IE.
yep, gotcha.
minor fix.
IE. Well, the last name's correct.
All right, moving on to correspondences. I don't believe there was really anything other than I think Beth did send an email about the 5-year parks plan being approved. Hopefully you guys all saw that.
Did you send something fun? Not that the Parks plan isn't fun.
I think there was geocache too, maybe?
Through an email?
I swear there was something fun. Again.
Was it
Maybe
a
not.
training reminder? I got one of those.
Oh, the follow-up with the public comments
Oh,
about the park lights.
yeah,
and
so,
bars.
yeah, so I guess that's been addressed with the township officers and Beth, and I think it's
Yeah,
kind of a,
I did talk with the lady who was here, talked with the officers, and I think the email tells you that the activity was put on the call log for the deputies, for the sheriff's
Mm-hmm.
office.
all right, I think that was everything. All right, moving on to reports. Garrison, could you please give us a treasurer's report?
Yeah, so we got the year end for 2023 plus the February as of 2024 reports. A couple things I noticed. Beth, Do you know on the 23 report, page 3 of 3, there's 2 really big journal entries for capital outlay, but they're booked December 31st, 2022? I was just curious what that was. Is that like looking back expenditures?
What line item are we on?
Well, it doesn't really feed into any of the subtotals. That's why it caught my eye. We are on
Oh, the,
AGE number 19, rec land acquisition. One's for 50,000, one's for 526,000.
yep, that would be related to the purchase for Holiday Woodlands Natural Area.
Okay.
And that's a journal entry having to do with, so it was probably done by our accountant. But I can confirm that as well and see what that is, and I'll send you an email on that.
It just didn't go into that $10,000 subtotal, so I was just trying to figure out what it was.
Right, right.
My only other big note was, it looks like our Arbutus 5 came in much under budget, or do we, because we had 222,000 left. We have 30,000 budgeted for this year. We basically paid up on all the work they did.
So when we have 30,000 in the budget for next year, that's because I anticipated a lot more getting done at the time we were doing the budget last year. And of course, we hit the snag in the fall with the parking lot. So what we'll need to do is go back and see how much is left and then do a budget amendment to bring that 30 to what we expect it to be for this year. And the board, the township board did just approve the change order that you all recommended regarding the parking lot and the grills. So they will be done as soon as that, hopefully as soon as they can, the contractor can schedule it and the asphalt plant starts.
And the bathrooms?
The bathrooms
With the
are up and
locks
we have the CO on it, but they're still locked. We are still waiting for the key. We were expected to get that last week. I did not get it last week, so I'm expecting it any day now. And then we're scheduling the bathrooms to start to be cleaned and, you know, make sure that they're filled with all of the appropriate, you know, paper items and ready to go. And then we'll set the timers so that's correct, similar to Grace, and then have that bathroom open.
Looks gorgeous over there. I was quite impressed. And we should, for the future, talk about our park signs appropriately.
I do have Garth looking into that
Oh,
too. We
okay.
were into some of the signage on what was under the contract and what wasn't under the contract. We talked about that last Monday, just before or after the board meeting, and we just haven't touched base yet since then, so.
I would like, I really like, I think it was the county who you weren't for, their new signage for their
Oh.
parks.
Yes.
It looks awesome. It's clean, it's simple.
I have a printout, a nice printout I could bring for everybody to look at.
Yeah.
It's
if
just
you
one
guys
copy,
haven't-
but
Yeah, if you guys haven't seen it, maybe look at that. Just a nice, clean, low, not this tall thing, just everything was just really nice, really.
and that's part
really
of
great job.
an entire wayfinding sign project. So you got, you know, main park signs, you got the internal or interior park signs.
They sort of all match together.
Yep, yeah.
It's
It
really
has like a
neat.
color scheme, there's like trail markers and everything.
And who
It's
did that?
Corbin Design.
Okay. Yeah.
So we have
Good
to
job.
have an upcoming budget amendment to finish that parking lot.
Well, we'll probably do that at the April board meeting through the township
Right.
board.
I didn't mean right now.
Yep,
Oh, through the township.
yep.
Okay.
And I mean, if, you know, you already recommended it, so,
cool.
and accordingly, we would, you know, do a budget
would-
amendment to accommodate that.
Be worked on when?
I don't know the answer to
We
that
don't know
yet.
the answer.
The contractor, it's being done under the current contract rather than truncating the contract and making it a separate one.
Okay.
So he wants to get it wrapped up as soon as possible too, as well
Okay.
as we do. So I'm not sure the asphalt plant is open yet, so
Fair.
they have to get it scheduled and make sure they have asphalt.
But it's on everybody's radar to wrap up before I go swimming there.
Of course, of course.
All right, anything else on the treasurer's report?
The last one was also page 3 of 2023. for Grace McDonald, 8,850 in November purchasing card. Is that the bleachers?
That is the bleachers. Yep.
That was my only question.
And if you'll recall, we had some problems with the bleachers as far as some of the parts came in damaged. They replaced all of those. They did a great job in making sure we had everything. By the time we got it, it was snowy and cold out. And so our Parks and Buildings Grounds guy is looking forward in the next month as the weather breaks to that being one of the first projects that he gets done, particularly when he has a second set of hands with him.
All right.
Great.
Those were my three big ones.
All right. If there's no more on the treasury report, we'll move on. All right. 8B, community garden. Is there any new community garden updates?
I currently do not have any updates.
Okay.
Do you?
No, looks like the farmer's market meeting will be on a Wednesday at 6 PM. I forgot which Wednesday.
I do have an update as far as potential for grant funding, as we're to the point now where we're trying to piece funding together. And as you know, we'll be hearing about the MDARD grant, I believe in late March or early April. So we're hopeful on that, which is about 130,000, I believe, total, that would be towards construction. But I was also contacted by Senator Stabenow's office to put in, they asked if we would had a scope of project that we could put in for some congressionally directed spending under the community facilities. They saw the article on the farmer's market and the community garden and the incubator, and we're very excited about that. So we had a very short turnaround time, and we got that together and put that in for 450,000 congressionally directed spending for it with an up to $200,000 match. And the match could be township funding. It could also be part of that MDARD grant, could be used as part of the match. So it may be less than that as well. So could be as low as a $70,000 match for the 450, as much as a $200,000
From the
match.
township.
What was the $130,000 grant called?
The MDARD grant.
Thanks.
This was from Stebenow's office?
And
Yep.
let's say Beth
That's
put
awesome.
a lot of work into that, last minute, on vacation.
The way I came up with the amount and the funding was based a little bit on the total overall cost of the community garden. We didn't quite reach that, but I wanted to keep also the request that might come from the township in a match as something reasonable, and that I felt like the Parks Commission and the Township Board could reach and obtain and come to concurrence on. And so it was a little bit of trying to take the project with, the engineer's estimate, with township funding, with the boards all into consideration and trying to come up with that. And so what it actually goes in for is construction of the community garden with some programming, and some engineering and project management oversight. So it's not completely concrete and wood, so to speak, you know what I'm saying? It's not complete materials, it is also the oversight and programming.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
So we'll
When do you think
see.
you'll hear?
Yeah.
Not for quite a while. We did a congressionally directed spending last year, and we received $1 million for a sewer project. And that has been well in a year. And we just got word today that we'll be in the first fiscal year 2024 federal tranche for that funding. So we're finally getting it, because it was kind of a little bit of a up and down, because we were notified we were awarded it. Then we were notified that you were awarded it, but Congress hasn't passed the right funding, so that
Oh.
it's being held until you have the complete funding. And so it was just a wait and see for several months. And so today we got the word that will be coming. So it takes a while is the answer.
I was all excited. As well as I'm sure Beth was too, and especially to have the Congresswoman, reach out to you too, so it's pretty neat. So hopefully,
Yeah.
Just for clarification, her staff reached out. to me,
sorry,
but
oh,
yeah.
sorry. Let's clear that staff.
But she was, the staffer is very extremely helpful and lives in the area, knows our area well, and was extremely helpful.
Awesome, yeah. Thank you for doing that, Beth.
Yes, thank you.
So, if there's no more else on the community garden, I'd like to move on to staff report. I guess Beth is filling in for Sarah tonight.
Yes, and I don't know that, did she specifically have a staff report in here? I think she just had the materials.
Yeah.
So I think really, I would just want to fill you in on that congressionally directed spending, as well as there's been a lot of grant opportunities coming to us. And so we react to them based on how soon of a turnaround, if we have an appropriate project. We take all those things into factor. In an ideal world, we like to, even if they don't require it, sometimes, we would, in an ideal world, like to come for a resolution of support. We don't always get that. Sometimes we're contacted and we don't have a meeting date that falls into that. So what we try to do is if we put in a grant, then obviously if we get it, we figure you always have the opportunity to turn that down. But in the same vein, we do have another grant opportunity coming up. And I do believe that we'll have a chance to take that to some boards. I'm forgetting the dates right now. Planning and zoning's handling that for the most part. But that is, we're looking at, it's a, gosh, I'm trying to remember the name. We sat through the webinar on it, and they were just fantastic in what they're doing. This is not, nothing can be built. They're not doing anything that is, a tangible trail or building or park or anything like that. But what they are looking for is planning and design. So it must be totally used for that. And we're looking at putting in for consulting to do a township trail plan, multimodal transportation plan for the township. And so what that would do is we've been working on the 3-mile trail, we've been working on the safe routes to school, and those are two great initiatives, and those will be the backbone of, moving forward. But in moving forward, when we talk to developers and they're like, okay, and where's the trail going from there? Like, what would you want us to put in while we're considering, doing a housing development or something? It's better if we have a plan, just like you have a master plan or a rec plan. And so this would be a nice opportunity to fund that. And it is for a significant amount that it would pay for more than just that plan. We've asked some of our other municipalities that we know how much they've paid for plans, so we know that we would have additional funding. So we're also looking at taking kind of the top 2 projects that we see coming out of that and offering additional planning for that. So, for example, that Holiday Woodlands natural area, that would pay for the trail design to be put in, so.
What was it called again?
I don't have the name of it, I'm sorry, I forget. There's been so many grant applications, and I think it's because, well, there has been all the way through since COVID, right? But a lot of these agencies are getting additional money from the feds, or going for the state and hitting, so there's a lot of grant funding coming around. I can get you the names of them, though.
I'm trying to remember, is there another Holiday Woodland meeting scheduled?
I don't know the status of that. I do know that Sarah was working on the public engagement survey based on the initial meeting that they
Okay.
had.
Cool.
Thank you, Beth. Moving on to business before the Parks Commission. 9A, the bylaw review. Everyone could turn to that. your packet. Is that not put in this?
Page 4.
Flipped right over it. So I took a look at this earlier. I didn't notice anything too crazy with the bylaws. Did anyone have any suggestions or questions?
I just know we wanted to wait for Ryan to be here because
Yeah,
he's
no,
asked about these.
yeah, I appreciate it, and I just wanted to make sure that, the bylaws are still, available. I think these are the standing bylaws currently, correct? Because they were adopted in 2018.
I
but
believe so.
They haven't been changed since, so,
It's dated
Yeah.
May 2020.
oh, maybe it was 2020.
Well, this is draft, so,
I think Sarah mentioned that they were the accepted bylaws, but she could only find the draft
Yeah, she did say that.
copy of it, which we can take care of that by
Yeah.
transferring it into a different file.
I just thought it was more so good practice just to kind of review them and, if anybody had changes or recommendations or wanted to see,
Yeah.
something that
Probably
applied
should
to
be
it.
reviewed every year.
Yeah,
If you like, I know the Planning Commission has redone theirs, and they look at theirs every year as well. I'm happy to have staff who assisted with the Planning Commissions take a look at this and offer any suggestions as well. I noticed one or two places where you might want to cite the statute. It was cited in here in one place, but you may want to in a couple other places. I'm happy to have them do a cursory review if you like.
yeah.
I think that'd probably be good to maybe,
And we can make sure that they're in sync with each other too, if anything needed. That's for the planning board or the trustee board?
Planning Commission.
Okay.
That was what brought this all about, right? We had a public comment that was inquiring about our relationship with a statute or something like that. Do you guys remember what that was? Or it was, someone asked a question about what did your bylaws say?
that's when there was a few of us attending a
Right.
board meeting.
Oh, and
I
that's,
think it was something else.
yeah, oh, okay, because as I say, that's actually not a bylaw
Yeah.
issue, that's a.
I don't know if
open
that's what
meetings
you-
act issue, yeah.
It's something to do with the master plan.
Yeah, and someone, yeah, it was when we were discussing,
Oh, it was the election of officers, because we did that a month late. Because we usually do it in December.
I don't think it was that.
I'm gonna go back and watch meetings.
And we were wondering if it was an issue or
I
not.
don't thi- It was
The
something,
reason
it was
that-
something planning commission related and something,
Is
something
it-
to do
was it
like,
with the word of-
water, or,
The word
yeah,
design?
or so, yeah, it was like related to that conversation
I think it was,
somehow.
if I remember right.
I'll go rewatch the meeting and see.
Okay.
But I think they look wonderful, but I don't know if they address the concern that was brought up.
Yeah, I mean, it might be a good practice just to, when we do the election of officers, maybe, to review the bylaws at that time. And just make it an annual thing, or whenever the officer elections are.
And those are in December.
I was gonna say.
My guess would be, that's because you're an elected board, and so you take office November 20th. And so it's that first December meeting after where you would elect your officers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
all right.
So you'll have your staff with that?
I will, if they
Yeah, I
make
think
any
that's
comments or suggestions, and send it back to you, sure.
Yep. Good.
I don't think we have to do anything, because they're already standing, right?
Was there any part of them in particular anyone was, okay.
Okay. All right, moving on to business before the Parks Commission, 9B, geocache. Beth did some great research and put together some stuff for us to hopefully get this here and into our parks here soon. She included some documents in here with containers, stickers, some rules, and then also like the permitting process. I know we did have a couple of us meet after a meeting to kind of come up with some programming ideas, and then we kind of put that off to the side, but I think Beth put together a really good start here to something that we can hopefully get programmed here soon. Does anyone have any questions on?
Is this budgeted under supplies for 24? 1,500 budgeted total.
I would just make a comment that under, somewhere in there to set a date for each year to review this.
Review the
Yeah, once we get it
geocache.
going.
Yeah.
Mhm. That we should have a designated day or date each year that we just look it over, we see who's involved. I think there's a whole application form. Is there anything that needs to change? How
Kinda-
was it? Just sort of just general.
Kind of cool to see the logbook.
Would you like this document to go back, or these, the guidelines, permit process and application, to go back to the geocache committee?
I thought it all looked really good. I don't know what, I think it was Garrison and Ryan.
I think just figuring
Okay.
out what to put in them.
Yeah. But I think they all look good. I don't know if necessarily need to review them with the
Pretty
smaller
thorough.
smaller committee. I think we were getting maybe a little too detailed and trying to be creative with containers and stuff, but I think what you came up with, just keep it small, simple, include a sticker branded with East Bay Township Parks on it for all the caches. I think that would be
Yeah,
acceptable for township caches. The permits were for other individuals wanting to put a cache on township property.
I did
No.
look to see, and we have, looking at the geocaching website, we have one in Jens Park, one that looks like it's in the Holiday Woodlands Natural Area, though I'm not quite sure where the property quite is compared to where the geocache is, and one in Killingsworth Park, and some in Pines Park, although it didn't say cache, it said like a, I can't remember the word, but it had like a couple dots in Pines Park, so there was something that existed there as
Yeah,
well.
there's one in the county road right away, there by Pines Park.
What's our approach for the already established people?
Well, I just took that from what another township was doing, and you'll see on the geocaching permit process, it says that when we find an unpermitted cache, which would just be those that are existing already, or any future ones that just don't come through that process, that when we find them or notice them, that we'll just reach out to the geocache person and say, hey, here's our process, and, could you fill this out? And so, pretty simple.
Yeah, I think it all looked good. I'm definitely documenting and get the permit for the ones or any new ones would be just smart to know what's out there. Why people might be wandering through the woods or looking near things, looking suspicious.
Did we discuss, did we plan to put one in each park,
Yeah.
as a township, as our parks department? Yeah.
Yep. That was the plan. So,
Okay.
do we need to approve anything for the purchases of the,
Well, I tell
Cash.
you, I could come back with the change that Sue mentioned about reviewing annually and a date, and could bring those documents back to you next month with also a purchase listing exactly of what we'd purchase and an amount for that. And it's within the purchasing threshold, but I'd like to make sure that you're good with what it's not so much the amount, it's because it's in your budget and it's part of it, but it's more so, I'd like you to make sure that you're good with the stickers that are chosen and the containers, and it's kind of the fun part of the Parks Commission for you, so.
I was going to say, once we get this up and rolling, we should do some sort of like poster promotion to put in that kiosk at Grace McDonald. Because there's that whole backside of it.
Yeah, I mean, we have kiosk at multiple
Oh, yeah.
parks, so.
You can also do a press release if you like as well.
Yeah.
Get it in the ticker.
Does guideline number 8 already cover the annual review of the locations? I just spotted that and didn't want to,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. I don't have a date in there.
Oh, just, okay.
We can maybe review that on like our parks tour or something day. Oh,
Yeah, that might be a good, always have that
Yeah.
on there.
it's- We're gonna be at every park anyways, so.
Everyone brings something to put in it.
When is that?
It's.
May or June
spring-
usually,
it's
yeah.
Spring, early summer, weather dependent. It's usually a special meeting.
So would you like a date put in there, or just kind of go with that?
I think we can discuss it on the day of our parks tour. Would be a day we could review,
And we
so
could say
that's how we.
reviewed on,
During the annual parks
The
tour.
geocache, review it
Yeah.
during the
That way we're
tour?
not set on a hard date either, it's whenever we can schedule that.
Okay.
Get a truck up in the woods.
No, I just, we've already got a
Well,
lot
like-
to discuss
Oh.
during those, I don't want to add to
you're
it.
saying it might be too much?
I mean, we could have a report printed out if there's any applicants for permits.
Would it be bad to put it on the December meeting
I mean,
date?
yeah, we're already taking care of business in December, might as well.
I mean, we're already going to have the officers, which we always should have in December, but also maybe have that the same time for review.
Well, it says, the way it is here, it says the cache location will be reviewed annually by the Parks Commission Geocache Subcommittee to determine if the location remains appropriate or cause safety issue, harm, or, so they could do that in the fall, and then just give you those results for your December meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd rather do it when we can actually walk out there and check stuff out.
Yeah, you want to be able to.
Yeah. So a subcommittee can handle the review of the locations. Yeah,
That would be a fun subcommittee.
yeah, so. All right, I guess,
Do we ever bring about the rentals for the parks, for the pavilions at all? When's the last time we even really looked at? But I know it's been on sort of tabled
We
here.
could put
but
that, we could definitely put that in a future
I
meeting.
think so. I think we need to
We-
look at it at least.
The usage?
To reserve.
Oh, just the process to reserve it? Gotcha.
The township board annually has started up looking at their fees annually, very intentionally. And we've just added the farmer's market fees into that most recently. And so I will check to see, I'm struggling to remember if the pavilion fees are in there or not. If they're not, we can, incorporate the Parks Commission fees as well. And then just annually, we do that at our December meeting. So you could, make a recommendation to change that.
Yeah.
And it would be changed then at the December meeting.
Yeah, because it's been a while since we've really even reviewed it. Yeah.
I remember talking about it, thought last year.
And we should find out, like, through the year, in December, things happen at the end of the year, December, but to find out how many people rented it, what was, just that kind of information, how much one gets used over the other.
I mean, do we record that information, or is it kind of
Sure,
just a
when they
call in
reserve
and?
it.
So we would have in our revenue, we would be able to track that through the
Okay.
revenue. We don't particularly keep that necessarily, at least that I'm aware of, as like a data point, but we could certainly do it through the revenue, and even probably the book, they used to just keep it like in a paper book.
Right.
Now we keep it on the township calendar too, so should be pretty easy enough to tell you, to give you a good idea. And we can look at how we can make that a more reliable data point as well. I can tell you that the pavilion rental at Grace is full usually by spring. I mean, it's usually packed. So it's a very well-utilized pavilion.
We
Is it-
need more.
Is the reservation process something that could be implemented through the website, or is that,
That would be lovely. It would be fantastic. And
ever tried to do it before, or?
we haven't done it through there before. Right now, people just, call in and then fill out the paperwork or whatever. But to be able to do it that way would be good, and we can certainly take a look at that.
Yeah,
Okay.
because that's how the community garden's going to actually be also, through the website.
We just,
It's a matter of just making it, I don't know how the website's set up, but, I'm familiar with how the county had to go do it, so if it's similar, I might be able to help.
yeah, yeah.
And it shouldn't take that long because it's just limited information. Do you guys, we don't take insurance or anything for that, or do we, or?
No, we
Okay.
think the first step would just be bringing the application to you guys and making sure that that's the information that you want and that it's sufficient. It's clearly has been sufficient so far. I mean, we haven't had any, need to have anything further. But take a look at that and see if there's anything else you want added, and then we can take a look. We did just add on the farmer's market onto the website, that application for the farmer's market to be done that way, so.
Because where I was going with all that was, once it's set up that way, and if it all went through there, then you could just download the data every year.
Yep.
And then, easy peasy.
Yep,
Well, easy peasy.
Well, it'd be easier for staff to manage. Someone just have to review it to make sure. Don't accidentally double book with a phone call, and, online reservation, so. All right. Anything else on the geocaching?
I don't think so. Is there anything
Right.
else you guys would like to see added to it, like in it, or number of locations, or anything like that?
I think just one at each park, and I think stickers was a,
Yeah, we could start
Nice
off with
little-
stickers and just see how it takes off.
Maybe a little info sheet about the park, like fun facts, When was Grace McDonald opened, who was it named after, something like that. I don't know, so it's somewhat educational.
Yeah.
And also something to point them to another park.
Yeah.
Can you put like a little pamphlet or anything in there, like little size?
I mean, we could do a little
I was
fun.
thinking like something laminated, like on the inside lid, so it's not something they think they take. It's just like something that when they open it, it's like facts about the park or something like that.
Because probably most people have phones anyway, so if they wanted to find out anything, they could just take a picture,
Yeah.
I suppose, of it too.
QR code's not a bad idea, actually.
QR code would be a great idea, and actually, one of the things I had wanted to mention to you, and I apologize, it's a little bit outside of this, but has to do with it a little bit, because it would really help with the geocaching, is we don't have a township communications person. However, we could start small and have like a parks we could subcontract out for a consultant to help with the website design on those pages, and do some, outreach as far as social media that way, that sort of thing. Could take a look at doing that.
Like setting up a social media? maybe?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be the first to tell you, I am a big proponent of not accepting any comments from the very beginning.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
they just, it goes nowhere fast, and I've seen people who do accept it and then have to monitor it. It's a crazy schedule, and then you get into all kinds of quandary. I think really the purpose and intent, as I would see it, and hopefully you might agree, is that the purpose of it is to push information out in a different format than a website.
I believe, sorry, I keep on pausing, my ear rings a lot. I think Facebook, you can, turn the comments off completely. So like, if it's a page, you can just post things and people can't like or comment on it. I'm not positive, but I thought that was an option. And if that was the case, that would be a good way to use it, because then you can QR code to the Facebook page, you could check in and still do all that, and that would help, spread the word out.
For those that do Facebook.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of them are pretty connected. I think Instagram's connected to it too, and, yeah, a lot of the social media is kind of progressing beyond me too, so I can't keep up with it, so.
So what were you thinking, Beth, with social media and QR code?
Well, I think you could take a look at putting some funding towards hiring somebody to set up, like, Facebook, Instagram, with respect to the parks, and then do some ongoing communication, maybe so many posts a month or a week, and kind of try, and then helping to redesign those pages, which, we use Revise as our website provider, and so it's a particular, type of,
Program.
all of them have their own, but they're not all that different either, so, but we could, once they designed it, we can give them access, and we can also assist in helping get the pages set up like with how they want it. So you could get kind of a look and a design to your parks, where obviously you've seen the results of that with farmers market, and the community garden will come under that because that's part of a grant process, and you'll also be seeing it with Beach District as well. And just one note on Facebook, it's not so much that I don't want people to comment on things, but the way I see it is if we post something, they can always share it on their own page and state their own comments about it, but then they are responsible for their comments.
So would you allow them, like if they took a picture swimming at Arbutus and want to post that, would they be able to post on the township's?
No, you wouldn't give
Okay.
anybody access
They'd be able to
like
tag,
that.
I
they'd be able
don't
to
do-
tag the account.
Yeah, I don't do Facebook for many reasons.
Yeah.
So
You
I
know,
wasn't
so
sure.
one of the things
We could
like,
take pictures and get permission.
do you remember when we had the pickleball courts and the tennis courts redone with a grant? And part of that grant was through the Healthy Endowment Fund, I think, and we had to do a healthy programming to it. And it was during COVID, they'd given us the money, we were getting the courts done, and we thought they forgot about that. And then they contacted us and said, by the way, you have this other part of the grant to fulfill, and you have to do it by this date. And so Jake and I very quickly put together a program that was super simple, but it really resonated with people. We had
Like a
80-some
scavenger hunt,
people.
right?
Yeah.
It wasn't a scavenger hunt so much as
Something
it
like
was
that.
like it took off on the phrasing Explore East Bay, which we use.
And that
And
was
it was like,
during COVID. And a lot of people were like, I didn't know this. Yeah, I remember that.
And one of the things that was in there was take pictures on your hike and send them to us, and then we would repost them. And so that's what we did. They weren't allowed to just post them because you want to make sure they're appropriate. But yeah, when people would send them in,
Then you approve those at that point.
we would post them, yeah.
We just want something to push information and
Exactly.
notifications out what's going on in our
We
parks.
got cool parks to go check out. I know, like, I follow a lot of my favorite restaurants and like breweries and stuff on Instagram, and they'll post like, here's my special today, and this is the deal. I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna go in there now.
Yeah.
Just putting it right in front of you. So yeah, I think it's a great idea.
So you're looking to maybe get our blessing?
It's a little bit premature. I mean, I want to, let me check a little bit on kind of what the scope of the services would be. But that's something we could bring to you if you're interested, if
Yeah.
you think you're interested
You
in
know,
it.
and it'd be nice, which is probably not in the realm of everything or timing right now, but again, if we go back and relook at our current signage for the parks, that somehow eventually that could tie in with the look of whatever the pages look like, but that'll probably be a bit, well, that's I guess it could always be
I mean,
changed.
Yeah, the whole parks and signage, I'm sure there's a rebranding of all of our communications at
Is-
some point.
Does East Bay use any interns or Vista workers?
We have used interns before. Jake Myers, you guys will remember, was a great intern that stayed with us for a bit. We've also had another intern one time that didn't work out quite so much. They had an issue with showing up for work, so that was an issue. And then, of course, now we have the fellow with Sam LaSouza, and he's been able to take a lot of the plans that we have that we just don't have the staff personnel bandwidth to move them forward, and he's been able to help add that
awesome.
without additional consulting. And then this week starts our, there's a Healthy Climate course through CEDM, very similar. Matter of fact, Eagle templated the program after the same fellowship from, that Sam is a part of. So much so that they had CEDM administer it. So well, he's not a fellow. He's part of the
AmeriCorps.
AmeriCorps, yeah. He's starting the end of this week. Today was his first day.
Oh.
With CEDM doing training, but they're in like 3 days of training, and then he'll be starting, yep. Yep, so actually, you'll see in our offices where the copier is, you'll see some transformation there with some office walls put up and some desks installed there
Cool.
to accommodate some of the space.
And then what will they do then?
They're working on, oh gosh, a host of different things, but like tree canopy
Oh,
and,
okay.
some additional items too.
I wonder if with that geocache website set up, I wonder if there's somehow to tag all of our parks together, so like if someone looks at one, it populates related. I'm assuming it does, related caches by the same owner. Wonder if that would help
Yeah, I don't know. We'll
to
be
get
playing
people
with-
to other parks.
Yeah, we'll be playing with that geocaching website. We do have an account set up with East Bay Parks. And so we'll be implementing that as we get the materials and they get placed and
Okay.
so forth. I'm hoping that the geocaching subcommittee will help with the placement.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
Oh, yeah. they'll be
I want to
part of
get into
that.
it. I just, I need to make time to do stuff like that, so.
Maybe I could come as a helper, because I know absolutely nothing about it.
yeah. I know we
Just
started
requires
it.
digging holes, right?
I know we started it and kind of got pushed to the side for other stuff. Not a good excuse, but
It happens easily.
yeah. But appreciate your help with that, Beth.
No problem.
So, is there anything else on the geocache? All right,
It's a nice push in the right direction.
yes. All right, moving on to business before the Parks Commission, 9C, the quarterly report. It looks like Sarah went ahead and put together a quarterly report for the Township Board. And then also there's the quarterly meeting dates. It looks like on April 8th, we have Garrison and Stephanie scheduled to attend that meeting, and I guess with the nice little report on the back here, something to bring to the
Board meeting?
board meeting with you.
Yep.
Is there any issues with that date for you guys?
No.
Yep, all good.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's all we need to cover on that, unless someone has something else they want to add.
Well, just in case they ask us questions on these, we know when we will submit the passport grant for the cornhole?
That due date is April 1st, and Sarah is currently working on that.
Okay.
Also, just want to mention to Jen's Park, the bids came in on that and went to the board, and they approved the low bidder, who was a contractor that we have engaged with before and we've had no issues with, so there was no reason to withhold the bid to the low bidder. And so that was approved. And that I took straight to the board for two reasons. I knew you wanted to, number one, get that going as soon as possible this season. And number two, I looked at your most recent motion and talked with your chair about it. And we felt that it was appropriate based on that most recent motion to go ahead and get that to the board. So,
Is there any potential start date for construction?
haven't heard yet. We haven't had a pre-construction meeting, so that was just awarded to them last Monday. And so right now, they're going through, when they engage with the bidder who was awarded, the contractor who was awarded the bid, they'll be getting all of their insurance and all of the documentation, and then they'll set up a pre-construction meeting. And then I will attend that with our buildings and grounds person. And so like one of the small questions is, you know, we were having that fence replaced by the Conservation District this year, and do we do that before, or after the project? And I did check with the engineer today. It doesn't really matter. Either way is going to be fine, but we'll kind of go over the details of that, and happy to provide you an update on that as well.
Can you say
Your next
who-
meeting.
who the
Yes,
contractor
it
is?
was Bash Excavating.
Yep.
Did we ever come to an agreement with a neighbor about beach cleanup?
Yes, the neighbor to the east.
Went north?
Yes, so the manager of that has changed, and it's a manager that we're familiar with that used to manage some other well-known hotels there and other condos there. And he attends the Beach District meeting, spoke with him, and they would like to continue this year going forward for this summer season, where during the day, or, you know, during the week, from the hours of like, I don't know when they get there, say 7 a.m., or it's early, to about 11 a.m., that they're allowed to use like up to 3 parking spaces there for their cleaning crew, because their parking lot is very small. And when they're filled to the max, they have an issue. So we have the space. People aren't typically using the park at that time.
6
And-
a.m. to 11 a.m.?
About like that, yeah.
Ish.
And I think what we'll do this season, if it works for you guys, is we'll probably give them a placard to throw in their car so we know which cars are which. And then in return, they're happy to continue taking their groomer down and through. The reason it fell through before, a couple of reasons. One, the communication was maybe not optimal between their staffing and our staffing, and that's very much improved. Another reason is the water level before used to be so high, it was hard to get the equipment from one side to the other. It really came right up to the vegetation, and so it was difficult, if not impossible. So they started doing that last year, and our buildings and grounds person was, he was doing a really good job with it to begin with. He went in and got some of the heavy lifting of the cleanup done, and then they followed with some beach grooming, and it was looking really nice toward the end of the season. So we're hopeful for this year, and, you know, welcome to hear any comments if you guys find that acceptable, or if you have any issues with that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just holding them to their end of the deal. Were they doing it once a week, or?
The beach grooming?
Yeah.
I'm not really sure of their frequency. I mean, I would imagine it would be at least that.
Okay.
Well, when
It
they
was
do
good, though.
theirs, they'll do ours.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's just making sure they
Yeah.
do ours when they do theirs, kind of
Yeah.
thing.
And I think Dan will be really good about making sure that they are doing that. And I think you're right, they just do it when they're doing theirs, because it's just as easy and there's not that much more, so.
It was a clear difference. That's probably the one I used the most. I live so close to it, but it was a clear difference. Like, it was amazing down there. I was like, what?
Toward the end of the season?
Oh, really?
Good. Good to hear.
Yeah.
I know when we did our-
They used to kind of have like the slope in the back, but it was, I think a little bit of like, maybe we got a bunch of sand pushed in from ice too, but then they smoothed it all out. And I remember walking down for the first time that year, I'm like, this looks like a Class A beach now.
Good. Good. We did have a neighboring property owner with the Jens Park Award who was concerned about the fact that grills are a part of that plan. You'll remember each picnic pad had a grill, and they were concerned about, it was near the trees. you know, my personal opinion, what I conveyed to them when they approached me right before the township board meeting was that we've had grills at every park and we only have wooded parks, you know, so we haven't had any issues. I don't foresee any there. The grill's also going to be located in a place where it cannot be moved, you know, on the concrete pad. But I did tell them that I would reach out to Brian Belcher, who is our fire prevention and fire marshal through Metro, and that I would show him the plans and take any recommendations that he offers for it as well.
That's a great idea, because actually, you know, that you mention it, there's so much wind that comes off that lake, so I would just assume that the fire marshal, whatever, could review that and say, hey, this shouldn't be an issue. So, but I did forget about that wind that could be down there. You know, someone's trying to do a fire grill.
I mean, their charcoal's usually not open flame either, it's,
Well, to get
Sure.
it started,
Yeah.
or, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just to start it, lighter
Yeah.
fluid, then you got the pine trees, which we all know, whoever's had a fire before, those pine trees go up fast. But
I'd be more just concerned about the hot coals afterwards.
We've looked at a hot coal, like a disposal. They have like a trash thing where you can't take it out, but you can put it in and it says coals on it. And I thought at first that was a great idea, like at Arbutus. But the more in talking with some people managing parks, the issue can become, someone's used it, their coals are still warm to hot, and then they try to transport it over and they lose some in between and start something. Rather than if they just leave them, they will cool, and either the next person that uses the grill will clean them out,
No.
or buildings and grounds will. And so at this point, that was to me the safest recommendation, rather than having somebody move them.
Yeah. Oh, that's probably a good idea.
But I'm sorry, I do ask when we go around, just like we've had some requests for recycling containers, but I have asked at a lot of parks maintenance, in particular, when we were on the Ohio State Turnpike, I stopped and asked the lady who was doing this, they had recycling containers, and I was like, so tell me, when you take those, do you find recyclables in them? She's like, no, it's a mess. She's like, people just throw everything
Yeah.
trash in there, and they don't, they just treat it as a general trash can. And so I've really not brought a recommendation to you guys to put in recycling containers there, because they're just, from every park maintenance place I've reached out to, not had success with it, unfortunately.
Well, I think, I'd like to say, at least not yet. Because I see it as a whole county, township level, we're gonna all be there within, I'm saying maybe 5 years of education and recycling and the whole thing that comes along with that. And so I see as a future thing, definitely, I think we are gonna have to partake whether we like it or not, and at the township level too, so, because it's coming.
In the new plans, is there going to be a trash can down on the cement pad, actually on the beach?
You know, I don't know the answer to that. I would sure think that there
I
would
realize the one's not that
be.
far up the boardwalk, but
Yeah,
we're lazy
Probably
people.
should
I pick up
be.
trash every time I go down there.
yeah.
If there was one right there, it might be a better success of them actually putting it in versus
I
I'm
would-
not gonna leave the beach, I'll do it later, I'm gonna walk all the way up the boardwalk, throw it away, and then come back, if it's right there.
Because
Especially
right
if
now,
it's
isn't it, it's up on the bigger
It's
square
like halfway
pad?
in between on the boardwalk there, yeah.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that when we review it.
And then will you at least let me know, or let the whole board know, when you talk with the fire marshal and see what their
Oh, yeah.
thoughts are on that? I'd just be curious. It's just the wind that would be a concern.
Yep.
all right. If there's nothing else on the quarterly report, move on to public comment. Still no public.
I hiked pines the
I have a
other
little
day.
something to add, I guess, to put
Oh.
on there. I talked to a woman who works at the Resource Center. She specializes in early childcare and stuff like that, and I told her about how we were pivoting this warming hut to maybe a day camp. she was very excited about that, and I wanted to put her in touch with Beth for any collaboration there might be there. 'Cause
Who
let's
was-
start off as Kristen Witt with the, I'll send you the email.
Sounds good.
But yeah, we were talking about one thing, and I mentioned the Parks Commission, and then our conversation went a whole other way. She's like, oh, really? I told her about that. She's like, that would be really good, and we're trying to increase East Bay Township, like, childcare in general. She also, I mean, this is not a Parks thing, it's a township thing, but regarding our limit of per kids for home daycares, it's like 6, and everywhere else it's 12. So that was another thing she wanted to collaborate on, getting the number of people, like the per kid ratio. If you're not a daycare center, if it's like an in-home childcare center, she can only have 6 no matter what. And
I think that that's changing with the zoning ordinance
Oh,
update.
okay, great.
Yeah,
I'll share that with her.
yeah. I'll get you that information.
Sorry. Just had an idea.
Well, thank you, Garrison, for that. Anyone else have public comment they'd like to share? All right. Moving on, upcoming meeting dates. Next regular meeting date would be April 15th, 2024.
Have you all scheduled your tour?
Our parks tour, no.
Do you want to take a look at that?
Yeah, we can, talking about meeting dates, we can look ahead into, April, May, or I'd say no later than mid-June.
I think the last couple of years it's been in May. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we could do it maybe towards the end of May. Usually that week before Memorial Day, because most of the parks would have been open by then.
Yeah,
So May 13th.
So we
through
have the
17th.
20th. Do we want to schedule it like a regular or an additional?
The last time we did it was May 18th, 2023.
So May 20th.
I have a question, can it not be May 18th? Because I have a big thing for work that day.
Well, I'm just
It's
saying
That
Saturday,
was-
So don't worry about
That's when we
Yeah.
did
Oh,
it.
we don't schedule things on Saturdays?
No, it's usually a Monday.
Schedule things at 6 o'clock on Mondays? I don't know.
It's a fair question.
But if you'd like to show up, that's fine.
Is your regular meetings the 20th, May 20th?
Yes.
Yeah.
You could schedule it that same day. You could meet here for a quick meeting and then just kind of table as you go to the other
Yeah, because
parks.
we know, it usually goes all the way to dark.
Well, last time we did the Thursday before our meeting, so that's the 16th. Just,
I don't know what our
that's what we did last time.
I don't know what our agenda would be for a regular meeting on the 20th. If
But
we have
well, we
any,
have a few things going.
Is this
Yeah.
super
So
late?
Well-
it would for me personally, I'd hate to have to substitute that
Yeah.
meeting just
I'm not
to
a
do the
fan.
tours.
Yeah.
Of what?
We should have
All
it
in one or
separate.
just
No,
separate?
I-
It's sort of like your idea, Corey, with
16th,
either doing
Thursday.
it the 15th or 16th somewhere.
I'd agree. I'd rather do it before our regular meeting.
Yeah.
Then we recap.
The
On some
15th
stuff.
might be better for myself because I'm going to have to get those minutes together a little bit faster, so,
I'm open all week.
what's that?
I'm available all that week.
Does anyone have any day better than the other?
No, I think that would be fine.
Going through my calendar. Yeah, I guess,
Do we want to
Something
maybe
nice,
shoot for
whatever.
like Monday the 13th? If there's a weather event, we have the rest of the week to maybe work with for a reschedule?
That's a
That's a
night of a
township
township
meeting.
board meeting.
Oh, can
Well,
we
we don't
not?
come here at all.
Is that one of our quarterly?
Yeah, but usually Beth,
Oh, no,
Beth
but
shows up.
it's-
I
You usually go,
as-
yeah.
And staff, the buildings and grounds person, I usually
Oh.
try to have
Oh,
come as
oh,
well.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, yeah.
Oh, you want to go?
Well, I just try to do that because he's maintaining the parks, and so just as
Yeah.
a liaison with you and with him, and as well, I'd like him to be able to make
Yeah,
it too.
because what,
I agree.
yeah.
So how's the 15th looking?
It's Wednesday.
Anyone?
Works for me.
Good for me.
Yep.
6 o'clock, is that?
No, we start at 5:30
We
before?
started early.
Yeah.
Early as
We don't have
possible.
much light, yeah,
Yeah.
what time?
Yeah,
Can,
we still use it all.
But we need, yeah, we
We
should
use all
start
the
a little
lights.
bit, yeah. that's-
5:30?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's do that.
5 o'clock.
Not 5 o'clock, I would say 5:30.
4:45.
Okay, so it is.
Wednesday, May 15th.
Be mindful of the meeting place and the construction and
Mm-hmm.
where that could be.
We're nowhere near.
Okay, 5:30 on May 15th.
We always,
And meet at the township?
No,
No, we-
we start in town at
We
Oh, we
started,
started-
Pine
Grove.
Grove, yeah.
we did
At Pine
Pine
Grove?
Grove, we
Okay.
did Jen's,
And then we shout out.
we did
Holiday Hill. What you
Quick
didn't do at Holiday
Woodland.
Hills.
Actually, we drove by
We,
Woodland. I
yeah,
think.
we
It was
didn't
like,
go,
oh, really?
yeah. We did the water tower last year.
We did the water tower.
We didn't do Woodland because there's none, yeah.
And then we hit,
Arbutus,
and Killings.
Grace,
And
and
Grace.
and Killingsworth.
We should try to find some geocaches.
Would you like me to put that on the agenda next month in April, and you can solidify your
Yeah.
tour
Yeah.
itinerary?
we can come up with the route.
We have to vote on making an official meeting? Or do
You don't
It-
need to. If
it's
you
a
can
special
do it
meeting?
By consensus, you're fine.
All right.
Yeah, we're all here.
Yeah, all right. So regular meeting day, April 15th. Parks tour, Wednesday, May 15th at 5:30 PM. Next month, we will go discuss the route of our parks, what one to start at and end at. Anything else? All right. I'd like to adjourn the meeting for Monday, March 18th, 2024 at 7:06 PM.
Second.
All right, meeting's adjourned.